Also, I'd like to give a shout out to South Atlanta Real, along with my other partners, wholesalers of us, Will and Tim. And I just wanted to just say thank you for allowing me, and forgive me, my phone is a little shaky. I'm holding it in my hand. Um, but for allowing me to have a platform in this arena. I'm very thankful and grateful to be a part of it. Like Deanna said, we've been knowing each other for a while. She always inspire me whenever I see her, because in this business or in any business, to be an entrepreneur, which is what Deanna is, South Atlanta Real is, wholesalers of us are. Basically, you have to, have the mindset of where you're going from the beginning. And so, with that being said, I know today is supposed to be about creative deals and deal making and experiences and stuff like that. But I want to piggyback off of what wholesalers of us does on Mondays, which is a mindset call. So, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to first of all begin with the mind first. I kind of want to give you my experience and where I'm from and how did I get started. Um, I first of all started out with the mindset of when I was very young, I guess around 7, 8 years old or so. I used to see on TV a TV show called Robin Leach's Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. Uh, my father is a meat cutter, or was a meat cutter. That means that when people came to the grocery store back in the old days, they would take your meat and trim the fat off of it and prepare it the way you wanted it and give it to you that way, and you take it home and cook it. Well, where he worked at was in a freezer, and I used to go and visit him sometimes, but that was something I just did not want to do because it was just real full of fats and materials that would be all over the place inside of the place where he worked at, and that was just something I didn't want to do. Um, but I used to watch Robin Leach's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I always wanted to know, well, how do a person become rich? And when you think about being rich, of course, you think about being wealthy, having a lot of money, and things of that nature. But what is money? Money is sometimes often thought about as, something that one person has more of than the other. But money is really just an idea, and ideas come from the creative minds and the creative thinking of others. Uh, there's a book I had started reading. A friend of mine recommended it to me, Atlas Shrugged. Uh, and in that book, it talked about it's by a lady by the name of Ayn Rand, but in the book, it was talking about how the thinkers of the world uh, really control the world. So in our thought process, you know, uh, going from what we've been taught, like early days of school, you be taught that, go to school, come out of school, go in the military or go to college to get a good education so that you can get a good job. And, some people's definition of a good job is to jump out of bed or just over broke. Well, I did those things, just like a lot of us do. And no offense to anybody who still works a job, but sometimes, you have to think outside of the box if you really want entrepreneurship, because uh, everybody don't have money like that. But sometimes money being an idea, you can create money out of thin air. And sometimes relationships are money. And so forming a good relationship will lead you to the money that you're looking for. So with that being said, and money being an idea, uh, you can pretty much just create things out of thin air. And what I mean by that is this. Uh, in real estate, what we do is we oftentimes go out looking for uh, deals, so to speak. Uh, what I mean by deals are properties that we could somehow get ourselves into, oftentimes, at a discounted rate versus what the normal market is. However, there are some other deals that you can get into without just always looking at the amount of money from the beginning, but you can get yourself into some of these deals by creating ways to get in. But let's just start out first with the mindset, because just like myself, I got laid off a job. I worked very hard. What I did was is that uh, for years I was worked at UPS, and when I left UPS, I moved out to California, started a job out there, a temp serve job, and just couldn't make ends meet that way. So fast forward, I moved back here to Atlanta, started working at a truck dock, worked out there every single day, even on the weekends. Didn't have time to spend with my family. Wind up working every holiday and going to work. I would go to work, anytime of the day. They would call me in 2 hours ahead of time. And after those 2 hours, I had to be at work. And if I didn't go to work when they called, one of the supervisors told me, he said, "Hey, man, I'll fire you for carrying your lunchbox wrong." And I said, "Wow," but I gave it my all in that type of job setting. And so what happened was, fast forward, one day I'm at work, and personnel manager was, kind of like in my way of working, and I asked him to move, and that set him off. He didn't like that. So I was kind of what they call a casual, sort of like a temp type job. And what happened was I went out there. Uh, we would get laid off every November, December, and come back to work in January. And all of my friends was back at work in January, and they asked me, they said, "Well, OT, where are you at?" And I said, "Well, what, y'all working again?" They said, "Yeah, we're working." And I said, "Well, why ain't I working? I'm one of the best out there on the job." And they said, "Well, I don't know." So I went up and I went to go talk to a supervisor, and the supervisor told me, he said, "Well, Tom don't like you." And he said, "They don't want you to come back." And I said, "Well, am I fired?" They said, "Oh, no, you're not fired. You just laid off." And I said, "Laid off until when?" They said, "Well, we're just not going to call you back." So at that point, I'm like, wow, I don't gave this job everything I got, and they laid me off. And I couldn't believe it. So, you know, growing up looking at Robin Leach's Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, I said, that's it. I want to start out my new career in learning how to be rich. And to this day, riches is like an ongoing thing. You can strive to be rich, but money comes and money goes. But the thing is you got to understand how money works. And so the first thing I realized is that I got to understand how my mindset works. And so, with that being said, I've got a few things I'd like to go over, just to kind of start out with this creative deal session. And it's just some things that I thought about, and that I started jotting down years ago. And they kind of helped me throughout the years in learning how money is an idea. So, the first thing, one of my brother-in-laws, one of my sister's husbands, uh, God bless his soul now because he's laid to rest. He told me some years ago. He said, when you lay off, your payoff is going to be way off. And so I took that to heart. I said, wow, that's amazing. That when you lay off, your payoff is going to be way off. So with that being said, I started, thinking about money and things of, what is real, what's not real when it comes down to working. So some of the things I wrote down were trilogies of thought, like what I believe is true. What I believe is true, it is true for me. You know, um, but what I don't believe is true is not true. And so I don't believe that, everybody that has money just was born with it. It's something that came about by an idea that a person had. So I also realized that nothing didn't have any power except the power that I gave it. So if I gave something power over me and I couldn't think outside the box, then that thing will consume me and I never be able to go where I wanted to go. And so going in the way that I wanted to go would mean that I will always have to try and move in the direction of my dominant thoughts. Okay, my dominant thoughts should supersede all my other thoughts when it comes down to how am I going to obtain what I'm trying to get. So that brings me to the real estate for a minute. Let's just stop right there because I'm gonna get into the creative deals. I'm kind of mix it up a little bit as I go. Um, when it comes down to your dominant thoughts, okay, you're sitting here trying to position yourself. If you're trying to get into real estate, you want to position yourself in order to be able to uh, get into a property that you have an interest in. Sometimes we're sitting down talking with sellers and stuff, and people will get a list maybe from Deanna, or they may do some driving for dollars, or whatever it is, some cold calling or what have you. And once they get on the phone with a seller, if the price is not what they're looking for, or if it's a situation to whereby they may not be able to um, uh, get themselves into the deal, so to speak, because they may not have the money, then they may just walk away from it. However, I found that if you sit down and gain rapport with someone, find out what their needs are, then sometimes you can solve the problem without the money or very little money. In creative deals, what we have a tendency to do is if you could sit down with a seller and really find out exactly what their needs are. It could be like I recently did a deal, probably about 6 months, 8 months ago, whereby I wrote a letter to a guy because I was actually looking for a property for my daughter, and the guy called me back, and come to find out he was out of state, and because he was out of state, he had a property that was sitting there that he was paying mortgage on, and he didn't want to pay it no more. So when he said he didn't want to pay the mortgage anymore, I said, "Well, what's the problem?" And he says, "Well, my daughter, his daughter, right, and her boyfriend had tore up the house." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, can I see it?" He said, "Yeah, I'm on my way over there now. Do you want to meet me there?" And I said, "Sure." So we get over to the house, and once we got over to the house, he showed me the house and everything. And of course, it was kind of messed up. The carpet was ripped out of it. The rooms were painted all these different kind of colors and stuff. There were holes in the wall. There were uh, leaks that were there. I said, "So what are you going to do with the house?" He said, "Well, I've got somebody that's interested in doing something with the house, but they want to split it with me 50-50." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, it's a contractor, and he wants to come in, fix up the house, and then, I sell it, and then we split the money." I said, "Well, listen, man, I understand, but I've had experiences with contractors to whereby they'll tell you things like that. And no offense to my contractors out there, but they will tell you things like that, get you involved, have you give them money, and then walk away from the house." I said, "Do you really want to go through that?" And he goes, "Well, what are you suggesting?" I said, "Well, what exactly do you want out of the house?" He said, "Well, I want $10,000." And I said, "Well, in the condition that it's in, I can't give you $10,000." I said, "But what I can do is that if you'll make the next couple of mortgage payments, I'll go ahead and take over the house. I will fix the house up, and then I'll get it off your plate." And he goes, "Well, I can't do that. I got to have $10,000. So I said, okay, well, that's fine. I said, but let me ask you this. If I walk away, what are you going to do with the house? He says, I don't know yet. I said, well, I tell you what, I can't give you 10. So if you got another number that you can come up with, give me a call back. And lo and behold, the guy called me back. I actually was on a cruise when he called. And when he called, he came up with a figure that was more feasible for what I could do for him. Because if you don't have a lot of money, this is a deal whereby this house here, I was able to get in with as little as $2,000. The house is worth about $220,000, and he owed about 150 on it. So I got the house. I wind up giving him $2,000. He wound up deeding me the property. I went in and I fixed it up. I put about $7,000 into the house, and I sold that house for 220. That's just one example of how you can get into a deal creatively. You know, um, there are certain situations out here to whereby people will be willing to work with you on houses. I just had another property to whereby I was buying the property from a seller, and the seller wanted way more than what I wanted to give him. And I said, well, listen, man, this is what I can offer you. He wanted about 160 for the property. I offered him 115. He said he couldn't take the 115. I said, well, what would you be willing to do? He said, well, I may be able to take back a second or so on something. I said, well, I tell you what, I'll come up with about 115,000. I'm sorry, 100,000 if you'll take back a $20,000 second on the property. And the seller says, well, you know what? I don't want to make any more payments on it. I got tenants in it. They're okay, but I need this other money right now. So I said, okay, I arranged for him to be able to get what he needed. He took back a second on the property. And, that second is the interest rate on it is so low, it doesn't even bother me. And I don't even have to pay it until after I get ready to close him out next year. So that's another way that you can kind of save a little bit of money because that other money could go towards something else. So um, I also uh, am kind of, when it comes down to creative deals, I like to think about money and what is it that somebody needs. And like to try to fulfill that need, which is one, um, I don't care if it's a bank or who it is, what exactly do they need? I recently have bought a few properties whereby the banks had these properties and they didn't want the burden. They didn't want the liability of having the property sitting there, code enforcement on them as well. It's a defaulted loan, nothing's happening. And you can also work out deals and situations with banks and stuff on properties, not just always just the seller. But when you are working out deals with sellers, understand that you really want to know what's the seller's needs. And with that being said, it leads me to the next part of my presentation here. So let me just kind of go into it. It's kind of awkward me just talking to the camera because I'm more of an interactive type of person. So you guys forgive me.
You're
Uh,
doing fantastic. We're still
oh,
here.
thank you, thank you. It's so quiet. I like.
You're doing great. You're a superstar. You're doing great.
Thank you, Deanna. I do appreciate you. Yeah. So okay. So for all of my um, pre-entrepreneurs out there, another thing that we have to realize, or that you have to realize, is that just like getting up to go to work in the morning, um, it takes a certain amount of discipline. Certain people, when you're going to work for someone, they give you a schedule of what time you have to be there, and so you prepare yourself the night before, and you'll sit here and you get your clothes ready. You make sure you have gas in your car to get to work and everything, and all that goes back to discipline. Um, And in our discipline, we got to know what our determination is. What's the end goal? And so in entrepreneurship, uh, what we have to realize is that in all our decisions, either we're going to have rewards or we're going to have regrets. And out of those rewards and those regrets, we're going to know, kind of which way our direction is. It's going to be a risk, it's going to be a reward, one or the other. Um, but you have to take action on whatever it is that you're trying to do. And so if you don't have a whole lot of time, you take your free time. You may not take all your time, but you might want to take some time to kind of discipline yourself to start trying to move in the direction in which you're trying to go. You know, um, you know, for me, I like to act as if it's already happening. Whenever I'm talking to somebody, when I'm talking to a seller, or if I'm getting up in the morning, I like to act as if it's already happening. You know what I mean? So when I'm sitting down, if I call somebody and they return a phone call, I act as if I already got the deal. They may not know it on the other end, but as we talk, and you gain rapport with that seller or whoever it is you're talking to, you act as if it's already happening. But you got to think outside the box. If you don't have the money in your pocket right now, think about the ways that you can get the money while you're talking to them. Or think about how it is that you can solve their problem while you're talking to them. And if you can build that kind of confidence up with somebody, they can feel that. They can feel that confidence in the tone and the tonality of your voice of what you're talking about. So, whenever I'm engaged in a conversation with someone, um, especially when I have stuff in my possession or even things I'm thinking about getting in my possession, I act as if I already know what's going to happen on the other end. I already know what's going to happen with them, and even if, I mean, the only thing I could tell you that in a lot of the transactions is that as long as title is clear, then you should be able to make a deal out of no deal. Even if it's a seller that basically wants more. I just contracted a property last week, and I was talking to the lady, and she says to me, she says, "I got an offer on the table right now at $55,000." And I said, "Well, ma'am," I said, "there's no way I give you 55 for the property. So if I were you, I would take that deal and run with it." She says, "No, I'm just not confident in the person I'm talking to." I said, "Well, I can tell you this right here. If I tell you I can do it, I can do it." I said, "But I can't give you $55,000 for it." I said, "But what I will do is if you want to go ahead and check my references or check with somebody to make sure that I do what I do or do what I say I'll do, I'll be more than happy to provide you with some references." And so the lady said, "Well, you know what? I kind of like what you're talking about. So I'm not going to worry about that deal. I'll go ahead and give you the deal." And I said, "Okay, well, that's great because this is what I can do. And this is what I am going to do." But in terms of somebody else telling you what they could do, I don't know. But I'm confident in what I say I can do. So she was very happy. As a matter of fact, she had some more deals on the table, but she wanted to know what I was going to do with this deal first. So I went on and contracted it, and right now we're moving forward. I've got the title already ran. Everything's looking good, and I think she's going to be happy. But it's all about your confidence level and what you're telling somebody that you can or cannot do. Uh, there's always a way to get what you want that's different from how you're getting it right now. So, what I mean by that is if you're not getting what you want right now, then you have to kind of search within yourself to ask yourself why you're not getting what you want. Um, a lot of people say, "Well, I tried doing this and I tried doing that," but try really has no meaning at all. Yeah, it doesn't has a commitment to it. What I mean by that is that, if you, if you were trying to walk out the door, either you're walking out the door or you're not walking out the door. You can't try to walk out the door. You know what I mean? You have to do it. So in everything that we're talking about today about being creative and stuff like that, when you're talking to somebody, just understand, one, you got to have the confidence, and two, you just got to do it. You got to act as if or think as if it's already happening. you know um, when a person says I can't do this or I can't do that, um, can't only means I don't know how to or I don't want to, at this point. So when you're talking to somebody, and even if you're talking to your seller and they say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, you say, well, why you can't? You know what I mean? Either you don't want to or you don't know how to, one or the other. And if they say, well, what do you mean you don't, I don't know how to? Well, there's always a way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And sometimes you can get a person everything they need, everything they want. And then, you also get what you want, So that's just uh, that's just a good communication skill, that you have to develop within yourself, you know. And when you're talking with that person, you have to just let them know that, I can make it happen. I can make it happen. If it's a situation to, like, I've had deals like right now, getting into other creative stuff, short sale stuff. If a person is over leveraged, you know, that's not a deal that can't be done. It's a deal that might take a little bit more time, but it can be done. Everything can be done. So in in dealing with people that are over leveraged, you know, there's other ways you can make that happen. Like okay, like for instance, if there's a foreclosure going on, and it's a situation to whereby, now sometimes if it's a situation whereby the bank is adamant about foreclosing, uh, but the property may not be in bad shape. So if you can stop that sale from happening, then there may be a possibility of still getting that property, putting somebody in there creatively, either owner financing them with a nice size down payment, or or even being able to catch those payments up with some other means, and then just hold on to the property long term. Because even these days, I mean, people are doing things like renting out rooms and stuff. One of my neighbors is renting out rooms in his house. He has a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. He's renting out the rooms for $750 a piece. And I, I couldn't believe it. $750 a piece. I mean, why would somebody do it? But like he told me, there are single people out here that really don't want, you know, a big property. They are comfortable with a room and a common space, as long as they don't have to pay the utilities and stuff like that. And I said, wow, that's another creative way of renting out your property. And so there's all kinds of ways to create deals out here. Um, Another situation is, I've had people that I've talked to, clients that basically will do things such as, hold on, I'm reading look like somebody asked a question or something. I'm not sure. Can't hardly see it on my phone. Let me see here. I'm sorry. I
It's
don't.
okay. I'll start reading. I'll let you finish your thoughts, and then I'll start reading them out to you, so you
Okay.
don't have to
Okay.
look through
Great.
your phone.
Great. Great. Well, yeah. I remember in my earlier career, I ran across a guy one time, and he had stopped me. I had signage on my car, just like I have signage on my truck nowadays, that said, just simply says, "We buy houses," and a phone number. And so this one particular guy had stopped me, and he says, "Hey man, hey, I got 2 properties. I don't need them, but this is what I need right here." I think he told me he needed like $15,000 or something like that. And I said, "Well, listen, I don't mind giving you the $15,000, but do you need it right now?" and he didn't need it. Well, he probably wanted it right now, but he didn't really necessarily need it right then. So I wind up giving him about 5 grand. He deeded me the properties, and I just held on to him and just paid him over time. And so that's another way of creating, deals out of thin air, and thinking of money as an idea. Because if you can get a bank to loan you money and just kind of sit back on the loan and pay the interest on that, you can do the same thing with a seller. And believe me, sometimes sellers will give you a lower interest rate than the bank. Plus, don't have to deal with the fees. So dealing with the sellers directly on stuff like that could save you a lot of money. You immediately get into a deal. The thing is about it is that whatever you say you're going to do, that's what you got to do. You can't tell a seller that you're going to take over his property or anything like that, and then not make the payments if payments are involved. And even if payments are not involved, even if you're paying it directly to the seller, you always want to honor your word. You always want to do the right thing because it's going to benefit you also in the end. So that's another thing I really like when I'm dealing with sellers and stuff. Because sometimes people don't need the money right away. Sometimes they want the money right away, but they don't always need the money right away. So, and then even what you can help them with is like, some people do need money like for just small things like moving expenses, you know. But if you had to come up with, I think these days some lenders are requiring people to put down about 10 to 20% on a deal. Let's say it's $100,000 deal, and you happen to come up with 10%. I mean, come on, everybody out here don't have $10,000 to put down on a deal. But if it's a situation with a seller and they need, a couple of grand or whatever, they might need some money to move or something like that, then you could do that. I have a property right now that I'm buying at the end of this month. And this particular property here, the lady want $180,000. And I said, well, what exactly do you want out of the property? She says, well, I owe 60. I said, really? She said, yeah, I owe 60, so I want about 120. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, I'm pretty sure I can get that for you. I said, but let me ask you this. If I needed to, could I leave that loan in place for the 60? And she goes, well, yeah, I don't mind you doing that. I said, well, yeah, I'll pay it off, at a later time. But right now, if you just want your 120, can I just get you to 120? And she says, yeah, I think we can do that. Because I think that what she wants to do is just move on forward. She's not really caring about the loan that's in place because she believed that I will pay that loan, and I will you know. So that's just another way that whenever you're engaged in somebody's conversation about their property, find out what it is that they really want, because you may find that, sometimes you may have that loan to be able to stay in place, and that's money that you don't have to borrow. And I think her interest rate is down in the threes or fours right now. So if I borrowed that money from a lender, I'll probably be around, 15%, so, I'd rather have 15% on the lower end than on the higher end. I'm sorry, than on the whole end, so that's just another way to be able to get into that deal. So, yeah, let me look at my PowerPoint here. Okay, so, yeah, so another one of my presentations here I got on here that we don't have any problems, we just have challenges when it comes down to this business. Sometimes we'll have a challenge, and a challenge could mean anything from, like I say, from a title search that came up with problems on it or issues on it that we just need to get worked out. And a lot of these can be worked out. It just takes some it just takes uh, some participation from the seller as well. Because a lot of times when you're coming across properties, especially houses out here that you may find that may be abandoned or something like that, you can always get to what the problem is or the challenge is, and then kind of work through it with the seller until you are able to get that property clear, and then you're able to go ahead on and buy it. Now, the other thing about properties like that is sometimes if it's a challenge and that property's been sitting there, then obviously the seller didn't need the money right away. So if it takes the seller participation, you can say, well, hey, listen, you here's a property that you weren't doing anything with. I don't mind paying you for it, but once we get the title cleared up, uh, would you mind taking payments on the property, or can I pay you on a note for a later time? And you may find that sometimes sellers will do that. So that's another way. Yeah. And so in our mindset, and going back to the creative thinking of the mindset, um, you might want to write this down for yourself, especially if you're in the business world or in the working environment. And that is this: what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? If everything that you tried to do, whether it's real estate or whatever it was, what would you do knowing now that if you couldn't fail? Would you go ahead and do it right now? Would you start making preparation for yourself to go ahead on and start reaching out for your goal? My daughter right now, um, I think is, I don't know if she's already done it yet, but I know she's doing it today, and I'm assuming that she probably has done it already. And I'm looking for uh, the video or so to come through. But the deal is, she's jumping out of airplane today, this morning. I found this out last night, and I was like, "Whoa, you jumping out of plane today?" And it just scared me. That ain't something that I was looking to do, even looking for her to tell me she was getting ready to do. I knew she had told me she was doing it, but to actually think about it, and I'm like, wow, you jumping out of a plane, but you know, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? You know, um, that's just something, that's very deep. There's so many things I would do if I knew I couldn't fail. And sometimes you have to just put yourself in that mindset that you're not going to fail on it. So that's courage. It's a lot of courage, you know. And what would you do if you weren't afraid? What would you do? What all would you do today, tomorrow, if you weren't afraid of the results? But sometimes, it's like the boogeyman, you know, especially for the new people that are trying to get into real estate. I've heard stories of people that say, "Hey, I don't know what to do." I have family members like that as well. They say, "Well, I don't know if I can call somebody." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know if you can call somebody?" I mean, people are people, and no matter whether or not they're a seller, or whether or not they're a bank, or no matter whether or not they're a lender, or no matter who they are, we all are just people. So what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Afraid of what? Afraid of the other person? Why would you be afraid of them? They could either say yes, or they could say no, or they could say maybe. And if you get a maybe, that means, hey, you got one foot in the door. If it's a yes, then you all the way in. And if it's a no, no don't always mean no. No means sometimes not right now. I've talked to people, and I've known it for myself as well, who have sent out letters or called off the honest list of people in probate, or people that, landlords that have gone to eviction court, and they may say, no, 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 I don't want to sell, I don't want to sell. Well, that means sometimes no, not right now, but let something happen, or let something don't happen. you know, you know, that may change their mind, so sometimes people say no, meaning not right now. It don't always mean it's a definite, you know. Yeah. So yeah, like I say, what would you do when you know what your results are? If you know that with confidence that you are the person, that the problem solver for this particular situation, what would you do? Would you keep on going, or would you just say, nah, I'm not gonna worry about that deal? No, you want to keep moving. Yeah. So for people that are interested in getting into real estate, now is the time. I know my friends and associates in the business always talk about the quarters. You got the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Well, every quarter is the time. And right now, because of the fact that we're, in the land of uncertainty with the coronavirus and everything, uh, when it comes down to the election coming up, when it comes down to the economy and what's this doing. Uh, now is the time. It's always a good time. Uh, it's time for people to kind of get off their seat, on their feet, and in the street. If you want to have an opportunity to be able to excel and progress yourself, you know, and if you need education, there are several forums. You got the South Atlanta Real, you got Wholesalers of Us, you got so many different people out here that are helpful in getting you to where you need to go. But you have to reach out to them, you know. Uh, so that's something else that for a new person to kind of keep in mind, that there is help out here. Um, So another screen I got here is if you're not getting what you want right now, what's going to be different tomorrow? So that goes back to, you have to make a decision and what you want to do and where you want to go. It's not that hard, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy, and it's not that hard. Um, my wife, she told me one time. She said, well, you think everybody is able to do this, and you just make it look so easy. I said, well, it's not really that easy, but it's not really that hard. But it's not really that hard, but it ain't really that easy. It's all about determination and what you can see yourself doing. You know, I like to think that real estate is for anybody and everybody. Um, but some things are not for some people, but some things are. And if you are the person that think it is for you, then it is for you, because all you have to do is make a shift, make a change, uh, educate yourself, and what you don't even know, just be natural. Just understand when you're talking to a seller or another investor or whoever you're talking to, understand you're talking to people, and we're trying to see exactly how we can make this relationship work on a business level. And that's all it is. And so, with that being said, Deanna, uh, I think
Fantastic.
hour mark.
You did that perfect. Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, that was great. I'm always learning anytime that you are teaching, anytime that you are featured as a speaker. It's always a blessing to hear from you. I know we had some questions start rolling in. Um, and then I have some questions for the group too. That'll,
Great.
sometimes folks got to hear a couple questions and then they get warmed up. So that's why we leave a whole hour for Q&A. Okay. All right. So first, like I said, thank you so much. Let me
Thank
go
you.
right to the chat. Um, let's see. I know housekeeping wise, someone asked me if this is recorded and saved for those that have registered. Absolutely. This will be available on my YouTube page as well. So for any reason you have to jump off or lose connection, you can always watch this replay as well as any other creative deals meeting. They all go on my YouTube along with the speaker's contact information. So no worries there. Okay. And I see Tim Harvey has commented that you are dropping nuggets. Wow, I love
Thank you, Tim. That's
it.
my brother.
Yes, I see Will and Tim up in here. So shout out to Wholesalers R Us. You guys that are listening, your homework is to go from this meeting to Wholesalers R Us on Monday. It is just like this. You just register with them on meetup.com or on Facebook, and you can watch their meeting where they're going to drop just as many gems. And I don't miss it. It's that's like Monday Night Live. You do not miss that meeting. So that starts at 8 p.m. But let's jump into some questions, okay? So I see Miss Jefferson just commented, great stuff, OT.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, you were getting a lot of love in the chat. Okay, so let's get this party started. All right, so I know you were speaking a lot on mindset. What do you think intimidates folks from bringing creative strategy to a seller, right? Because most of us are just going in with one strategy. Maybe it's just wholesaling. Maybe it's, I just want to do my first rehab. Why do you think folks are not thinking about all these different ways to skin a cat, like you say? That's my favorite saying that you say.
Well, I think that a lot of people may be intimidated from the market itself.
Hmm.
I think, these days we have a lot of VAs, a lot of people calling people, and they're offering, higher than what's expected from you, or what you expect to give, rather. And it's just like I was saying about the other lady, she had an offer on the table. She said a signed contract in front of her for the $55,000. But at the same token, I'm not intimidated by that, because I'm like, listen, if that's what somebody's offering you, take that deal. And if it don't work out, just give me a call back, or we can deal right now, because I'm not trying to, you know, compete, so to speak, with somebody else's higher offer. It's not about the offer; it's about, can they get it done? And so that goes back to the confidence. I know at the price that I offered, I can get it done, and if nothing else, I buy it. But for those that are not in the position to even purchase it, still don't be afraid to ask, because you can still create that rapport with that person. And if you don't have the means, then you reach out to somebody who does, and that'll still validate you with the seller.
Fantastic. That was good. That was some gems. Hold on, let me um okay, we got that one. All right, keep the questions coming, guys. It's now Q&A is officially open. Ask either one of us anything. We are checking the Q&A box or the chat box, either one. But let's keep the questions coming. My next question for you is, so from a negotiation perspective, right? Because
Mhm.
that can be kind of tough. Like you say, your mindset is not right now, or you got to find another way, but it's not just a hard no. So where did you learn to do that, or where can folks get better at negotiating with sellers? What would you suggest?
Well, again, going back to the idea of, you know, the money itself. In terms of learning it goes, I mean, it's a matter of asking a question. It's for me, it's more like thinking while you're talking. While you're talking, think quickly on your feet to understand the needs of that person. So, like for instance, um, you know, while I'm talking to somebody about a property, I recently bought one from a bank, for instance. Okay, and just so that so like whether or not I'm dealing with an individual or whether or not I'm dealing with the bank, right? So this is it wasn't a creative deal with the bank. However, I kind of knew what they were dealing with, And as far as the person that I'm talking to, I could just hear it in their voice that, hey, listen, they don't really want the property. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, what can I do to make it work out and make it a win-win situation for the both of us? So I just spit it out, hey, listen, this is what I could do. If you could do this and get me the results back that I need in an hour, then hey, call it done. And so uh, it was all about solving their problem as much as it was a great deal for me, but when you're talking to a seller, same thing, I mean, some people, they don't need anything. Some people just don't want the burden. Some people don't even want to pay the property taxes on the property, and they may walk away from it from that. Hey, look, I inherited this property. I don't really need it. I'm out of state or whatever the case is. And, I don't want to maintain it. I don't want to cut the grass. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And if you're listening to what they don't want, then it, you could just make a suggestion of what you could offer. And once you make that suggestion of what you can offer, it's up to them whether or not they'll take that suggestion or not. Or they may counter you back. Well, okay, well, I won't do this, but I'll do this. And so, that's all about creativity, because at the end of the day, it's whether or not you're giving them money right now, or are you giving them the idea of the money later on, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite strategy when we think about subject to creative not creative financing, but subject to lease options, taking over note. What's your favorite strategy, or if you
Well,
have one?
well, I mean, of course, like for myself, I'm always looking at, the amount first, so if I can get a huge, discount off the price, then I'm going cash. But if there's not a huge discount off the price, but there's still some what you call meat on the bone, or some creativity there where you can get into that deal, then I like you know taking over property subject to. That's no problem. But I also like like I said, if it's no loan there, then you're not really subject to in that. You just kind of creating a deal out of that. As a matter of fact, I was buying a property. I wind up buying the property cash, but I started out with a cash offer, and me and the seller, we had agreed on that cash offer. And lo and behold, uh, he had a tenant in the property at the time. I helped him, get the tenant out and everything. And at this time, my contract had expired, because of the process that I was helping him with. So lo and behold, this guy here had received another offer from someone, and it was higher than my offer. And I said, well, hey, I was helping you out. And you gonna just do me like that? And he goes, well, yeah, I got a higher offer. I said, well, I tell you what, I'm not gonna come all the way up to their offer, but I will bring up my offer. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm no longer gonna pay you cash. If you'll be willing to take this money over time, then I work out a owner finance deal with you. And this guy owned the property outright, free and clear. So he says, okay. And I said, well, I want 0% interest on this loan from you. And he goes, all right. Well, I didn't know, but until I checked with my attorney, that, whenever you're seller financing a deal, or financing a deal from a seller or so, or even if you're the one that's doing the financing, by law, and let me just make this disclosure: I'm not an attorney. I don't know all the laws, but by law, on this particular case, um, according to the IRS, this man had to charge me a interest rate. So I said, darn it, I was at 0%, and now I got to pay a rate. And so the thing is you can go with the lowest rate according to the IRS. And I think at that time it was about 3.5% or something like that. So I said, well, you know what? I have no other choice than to do it that way. But he was acceptable to it, and I was too. And so we wind up, getting that deal done. So I like the subject tools, and then I like to be in control of, the deed. I don't. Some people do a subject to deal whereby they do a lease option and they sublet the property, and that's another creative way to get into it. I just prefer to have ownership rather than just, a lease on the property myself.
I love it. That's good. So now let me ask you this because I know we have a mixture of folks that come to this meeting. Like some folks are currently investing and looking to, be able to present more options. But if you're new and you were, let's say you're going back to the very beginning and you had to get a deal in the next 30 days, what would you suggest folks do?
Well, first of all, get into the marketplace. You know, I wouldn't suggest primarily like the MLS for people that want to do creative deals. However, sometimes there are some out there, and expired listings may present an opportunity for a creative type deal. But the main thing is for people that are new that want to get into some creative deals and stuff. I think that they ought to buy your list first of all, and that way, they could start making some cold calls, get into the mindset or the situations of other people, like I say, landlords. Right now, people are having tough times trying to evict people. They may or may not have people in their properties that are not paying. I've got some people that are late paying me, but the deal is that's one way. And then probate deals, the probate deals are definitely a good source to be able to get into some right now financing, especially if they've already been probated and everything is ready to go. But also just going out into the marketplace. I mean, you'd be surprised that sometimes you're looking at something and or you in, I like doing driving for dollars. That's my main thing I love to do. Uh, because it kind of takes me into a neighborhood. And then from that point, you get a chance to possibly meet the neighbor, and the neighbor may have some good info on not just that property, but on somebody else's property. So I think passing out business cards, being able to relate to people, just letting people know what you do, you're a problem solver, and in this business. So in the next 30 days, I think the plan should be, first of all, like I said, they could purchase your list, start making calls, I mean, even if you don't get the people on the phone, I found out that sometimes people don't answer their phone right away, but you may even go and comb an area, get familiar with the marketplace. And sometimes I wrote up on sellers, and I mean, my wife and I was out. I was big. I'm still a big hate bill buyer, and my wife and I were out just combing around the neighborhood, driving for dollars and everything. And I passed his house, I don't know how many times. And and I was looking for this seller and I couldn't find him. I couldn't get him on the phone or anything. And we were riding by. My wife said, "There he is right there, cutting the grass." And so, from that point, we went over, we got out the truck and walked over and started talking to the guy, and we wind up getting that deal. So, you have to take action. You have to be out in the marketplace. And if you're not in the marketplace, see, what it is that you can do to collaborate a deal. Sometimes even other wholesalers have deals. And what I found is that even when it's another wholesaler that has a deal, sometimes based on the experience level of the wholesaler themselves, they may be sitting on an opportunity to whereby they just want to cash out the deal. And that seller that wholesaler is talking to may have something else in mind. So sometimes I'll even tell a wholesaler, I say, "Hey, listen, tell me the situation with your seller. Would you mind if I talk to him?" I'm not going to cut you out of the deal, but if you can let me talk to him, there may still be a way where we both can get what we want. Tell me what is it that you want, and then let's go from there.
That's so good. So good. What other questions do we have? Do we have any more questions, you guys? Drop it in the chat. I know we've gone over a lot of information. If anyone needs a review of the deal types, I know we covered subject two a lot today. But if anybody has those type of questions, let us know. Or marketing questions, anything that you guys have, and we'll just keep it rolling. Let's see. I'm switching over to the
Another thing,
to the
Deanna, is
hmm
and I didn't mention your pre-foreclosure list, which is, right now, because I think a lot of people have gotten the stimulus money and the other money from the government and stuff. There's a lot of loans. I'm doing the short sale right now, and I was talking to a guy from the bank, and he was letting me know that there's a lot of loans out there that are in default, but they're not foreclosing on them right now. But people do know that that day will come where they're gonna have to either make up the bad payments or work out some other kind of forbearances or something. Or some of them are just, hey, I remember when the recession had first hit back in '08, '09, 2010, people were just walking away from these houses, and some of them were going to get other houses, bigger houses, because the rates had dropped, the market had dropped, and stuff like that. So whenever you run across a situation, and believe me, there's a lot of neighborhoods out here where just about I don't know about in the rich side of town, but just about in the neighborhood you come through in the metropolitan area, you'll find some vacant properties, and it's just a matter of being able to contact these people and see exactly what the plan is.
Very good, very good. Let's see. I just sent a text message. I was thinking to bring on um, our wholesalers are us family. Let me see if they're available for this last 30 minutes. And you guys can continue to drop your questions. But I thought since we got Will and Tim in the house, let's see if we can
Hey,
get one of them
hey.
on. That's how they do me on Monday. So I'm like, let me
Uh-huh.
see.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna put y'all on the spot. I see Will got his hand up. Let me
They're
see if I
me
can bring them
bros.
all.
They're my me bros.
There we go. Uh-oh. So yeah, I think we got Will in the house. Let me see if I can get Tim. Uh-oh, Tim hand went up. Let's see.
Yeah, my camera finally came up on my computer.
There we
Oh
go.
man.
All
It's such
right,
an
you
honor to
guys.
be able to speak next to the OG.
Oh Lord.
It's such an honor. Such an honor.
Yeah, just to hear the OG. What an amazing webinar. We're just so grateful. There were just so many nuggets that the OG dropped today, and again, man. Just like in what you always do, man. You just drop nugget after nugget after nugget. I was just grateful for the time when you talked about you were talking about, I think you were talking about your uncle, and he kind of told you that if you lay off, you pay off, then you stay off,
when
and
you way off when you lay off, you pay off gonna be way off. That's my brother-in-law.
it's your brother-in-law, yes, your
Yeah.
brother-in-law, and I just love that because it's just true. It's like whatever you do, you've got to actually take action, man, and I just know all of everybody that's on this webinar. When you get that list from Deanna, you definitely have to take action like ASAP. And just make calls. I like the part where you talked about creating relationships. Instead of just working to do one thing, creating a relationship with the seller, and just finding out what they need is. Whatever they need is, just go in that direction. And as you do that, then everybody will be blessed. So man, what a webinar. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, South Atlanta Rhea, Stacy. Thank you, OT, for actually putting this on. It's always just a blessing, to be able to get nuggets, out of your friends, to be able to hear nuggets. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you so much.
I'm grateful also, and I appreciate everyone.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on, Tim. This is really the recipe, guys. For those who are new, I'm going to be honest. Between, coming to this meeting, going on over to Wholesalers R Us, working with folks like OT who have experience, who are willing to help new investors, this is really how you get that extra support. And I know sometimes when you think about creative deal strategy, for structuring, you may be a little bit intimidated, right? Or maybe you're still trying to get to your first deal. I would say that this is how you keep going, right? Because, our motivation, it really is like a gas tank. And sometimes you just run out of gas. You're like, I don't have it today. And so when you're around folks like, Mr. Richardson, like Mr. Harvey, like Mr. Galloway, and this is all, builds up to the Wholesaler RS team. When you're working with folks like this, they can sew into you to keep you encouraged while you're waiting for that next deal, because our mind can start to play tricks on us, make you feel like real estate isn't for you. And that's all a lie. Like, if you really want this, you just got to be around folks, And to be honest, one of my secrets is I just go to these webinars. So on Mondays, I'm listening, right? And I'm just listening for those seeds from Wholesalers R Us, or if OT is speaking, if he's a featured speaker, I'm just gonna listen. I'm just gonna soak up those gems and apply it to my business. So that's why I wanted to bring them on together, because really the three are truly, truly powerful anytime that they're teaching and speaking, right? But while we have all three on, you guys can drop questions. Can you guys all share how to connect with you, like your social media, whatever information you want to share with folks that are listening? OT, you want to start?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a platform, so to speak. But you can always reach me on my cell. It's 404-456-7465, 404-456-7465. And know that, if anyone calls me wanting to reach out, I don't mind helping. Don't mind, helping you get to your goal, even to just kind of motivate and try to inspire. And also, if you do call and I don't answer, I normally answer my phone, but each time I purchase a property, um, uh, a lot of these properties I have in my own name, so I get bombarded with people that are just, a lot of VAs call me and stuff. So you can leave a message or send me a quick text, whoever it is, and I'll call you right back. That way I can identify who it is calling me. But yeah, I don't have a platform yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, that's perfect. There's nothing wrong with just picking up the phone and giving you a call. I know I get you. If we call and we need something, you do answer. So that's good to know. So if folks have a deal and they're stuck, they can reach out to you and say, hey, I heard you at Creative Deals. Can you assist me? Is that right?
Oh yes, most definitely, most definitely. I welcome it.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And then I see Tim is there. Tim, how do folks, find out more about Wholesalers R Us if they want some of that motivation or need assistance with the deal?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're so grateful, that you would even allow us to, to share our platform, Deanna. Thank you so much. You guys, please, before anything, just access these lists. These lists are making us money now as we speak. So please access these lists from Deanna. I mean, they will make you so much money if you take action. So, that being said, you can reach us at REI wholesalers are us at gmail.com. That's REI wholesalers are us at gmail.com. And we'll get you, we'll get you into our atmosphere. We'll get you into our world. We have our Monday calls, our money making motivational mindset Monday Zooms. We do those every single Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Guys, look out for that. But definitely access us at reiwholesalersrus@gmail.com. You can also check us out. We are on Facebook. Wholesalers Are Us as a group, and we're also on Instagram as Wholesalers Are Us. And guys, we are so grateful. Thank you, Otis. Thank you for sharing everything. And guys, literally, if Otis shares his telephone number with you guys, he will talk because and he will teach. So don't waste his time. But definitely access him if if you've got some real questions. So that's all we got. Deanna, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Fantastic. I'm not sure if Will is still there. I heard his voice, but oh,
Hey,
maybe was that him? There he is. Okay. Will, you got anything you want to add?
well, first off, I just want to tell you thank you again for having us, adding us on with the OG. The OG did an amazing job, like always. He's very intelligent, especially when it comes to this business. So I know you guys got a treat today. And one thing I will say is, don't just listen, implement. You know, don't just listen, implement, and take action. If you don't do anything else, I would say, as far as taking action, I mean, you got basically, the person who's hosting this webinar. I mean, this woman has the best list in Georgia. So if you don't get all this call and purchase the list and start making calls, then really, you do yourself a disservice. So I
That's
would
right.
just say, that's one of the first things you need to do. And then all this creative deal stuff is all good, but it don't mean nothing if you don't make a call. So if you need help with making calls, you know, you can, reach out to us. I think Tim, gave you our information. We definitely have a cold calling system that we work with people one-on-one with. REIwholesalersarus@gmail.com. If you interested in that, of course, send us an email. Like Tim said, you can T. He definitely will talk to you. He definitely will work with you. But like Tim said, bring value. You already know our page, REI Wholesale of Russ, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to reach us, our personal pages, of course, Tim is who is our names on Facebook, Harvey. And again, thank you again, Diana, for inviting us on. We love you, and we can't wait for the next one. And guys, if you want to talk to us again, jump on live Monday for some mindset motivation, and we're gonna pump your spirit up for the week. So that's all I got. God bless. Thank y'all.
Yeah. And speaking of which, yeah, just like Will just now said, and Deanna, your question was about how can a person get started now? And I totally agree. When people kind of make it systematized and easy for a person, and all they have to do is take that type of action, uh, I agree totally with what Will said to go ahead and buy a list. You can get that list right now. I believe it's available right now, and from that point, you just pick up the phone. Overcome your fear. I know that my daughter, the one who's jumping out of the airplane right now today, I remember sitting down at the table with her when she made her first phone call, and she was just sitting at the table. She was just so scared to call the people. I said, Brianna, I said, you need to just call them and just know that you're just talking to another person on the other line. And I was in another room, and my wife come running through the living room, and she said, hey, she got somebody on the phone. I said, hey, just talk to them. You know what I mean? So I think that because it is easy in a format and easy for people to understand, that they ought to buy your list and they could go ahead and get started right away. Hello?
Sorry, OT, I was coming off of mute.
Okay,
But
no problem.
all right. So fantastic. So yes, I thank you guys so much for coming on. Like I mentioned, you guys, this is really the cheat code, working with individuals such as Mr. Richardson, the Wholesalers RS crew. You really want to use a combination of these different platforms. And then I love that everyone said, hey, you got to actually take some action. You got to actually, get a list, make your mistakes, and start calling folks. Start, you know, go ahead and get yelled at if you're gonna get yelled at cold calling. Go ahead and if you're gonna say the wrong thing. But there's so much support out here to prevent you from making those mistakes. I know someone asked, says, dang, I was driving. Can Mr. Otis repeat his phone number, please?
Yes, that is 404-456-7465. 404-456-7465.
Fantastic, fantastic.
And,
So,
and one,
oh, go
sorry,
ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, one
Go
more
ahead.
thing. And if they call, please tell them to ask for OT, because all my friends and associates and family call me OT. But if they call me Otis Richardson, I might think they're bill collector. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what's so funny. I call you OT all the time, and I was like, should I be saying Mr.? That's what I was thinking
No,
while I was
no, OT
talking.
is fine. I love OT.
But that's fantastic. Well, man, what a blessing. It has been wonderful to learn from you today. Thank you to our special guest, surprise guest, Tim and Will jumping on. Like I said, this trio really is powerful. They can help you get to that first deal. They are folks that I personally have known for years. I think this is like year 6 of knowing these individuals, which is why anytime that I have a platform, I want to make sure that you're hearing from them. And I've literally seen these guys walk people through to their first deal. So when I tell you tap in, actually we had a young lady a few months ago. She was on a creative deals meeting when we used to meet in person. She did exactly what I'm saying. She was calling a list. She got her list. She was working a probate or an eviction list. And she literally, I remember her coming to sit next to me on the couch. And she said, Deanna, I got a wholesale deal. I'm not sure what to do. So let me tell you who to email. Right. And the next thing you know, she was a testimonial for getting her first wholesale deal. And I think she
Wow.
made about $10,000. So
Oh, wow.
that's fantastic, and her testimonial is on our social media. But that just goes to show you that you don't want to make it difficult, right? So if folks are saying, hey, learn from my bumps and bruises, learn from my mistakes, let me guide you, that's really great, because that wasn't there years ago, as you guys always say, right,
That's right.
OT?
That's right. I was in a meeting yesterday. We were talking about, like, even, I mean, technology has made it so, where you can do things a whole lot more easier. I remember the old map book, the paperback, that you have to be on like F16 and G35 to find like where you were on a map and crisscrossing and stuff like that. So, you know, technology, the whole way that that you can even uh, combine a list and just send it over to somebody right quickly, and they can just immediately get started with that. I think that's amazing.
Yes, and I know you guys have mention list. Sometimes I get so focused on the meeting and teaching that I forget to talk about the business. So Law Clerk on Demand, if you guys are listening today and you know that you have not talked to any sellers this week, or maybe you're frustrated because you're currently working a list and you got bad phone numbers, you got bad addresses, your mail's coming back, you're just stuck and frustrated, turn to your local courthouses, okay? And so we make that job easier for you because we're going to the courthouses. So Law Clerk on Demand is pulling fresh probate, eviction, divorce lists from the courthouse. Many of the probate and eviction lists include a phone number. So you literally could get off this call, order a list, especially folks that are in Georgia. You can order your list. Phone number is included for most counties, and call some folks. I mean, it's only like mid-afternoon right now. So you could literally get off here, grab a list, cold call, you get stuck, we gave you the play, you call OT, you call Will, you call Tim, and you tap in and you get to the closing table. And that's why I wanted to bring them on, because we're in the final quarter of the year. You guys want to get pumped up and you want to take as much action as possible. And so the list allow you to do just that. Because I mean, you really just make the investment and get on the phone. right? And then if you don't want to get on the phone, you send text messages or you send mail. But there are zero excuses. And what you do now affects how the end of the year is, right? And what you do now could really propel you and push you to having a successful 2021. But you don't want, like I saw a meme yesterday, like you can either look in 30 days and be grateful that you moved forward, or in 30 days, you'll look back and just see all the excuses you made, right? And where we are is the sum of all these little decisions. When you say, like, hey, I'm going to cold call later, or I'll do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow turns into the next day and the next day and the next day. And we want you to be a testimonial. We want you to be able to say, hey, I got to my first deal, right? Don't be that person that goes from meeting to meeting and you don't do anything. So whether you do that with a list, or whether you actually, you decide you're going to go driving for dollars today, if you decide whatever your marketing channel is, can we commit to doing something today to get us closer to our next deal, right? If you can commit to that, comment in the chat. I'm watching my chat. And then if there are any final questions, you guys let me know. Keep in mind, this meeting is available and a resource because of South Atlanta RIA, right? So this is one of their super groups. So if you're interested in getting additional support, you can always join South Atlanta RIA and attend other meetings like this. Stacy Rossetti is the founder, and she's another great mentor who I have seen. She's exhausting herself right now with webinars and workshops that she's been giving away for free. So if you join South Atlanta RIA, you can actually benefit and attend that stuff. So everything from flipping storage facilities to mobile homes to rental properties, all of that good stuff is built into South Atlanta RIA as well.
Shout out to
Okay.
Stacy.
Right. Shout out to Stacy. So I think that the help is available in our community. So don't be, struggling in secret and frustrated in secret and not telling anybody, because folks are really saying, like, look, we'll hold your hand, we'll get you to the closing table, but you got to speak up, right? So with that being said, I don't think there's any other questions. So I thank everybody for attending. We will be continuing this meeting next month. The next meeting will be on November 21st. We have another speaker coming. And keep in mind, Creative Deals is going to remain virtual and happen on the third Saturday of every month. Okay. And if you need me for anything, of course, you can reach out to us, admin@lawclerkondemand.com, or just go to lawclerkondemand.com to find out more information about lists, forming your business, or any other legal needs that you need. But I thank you guys for attending, and I will see you at the next meeting. Thank you so much, OT. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Tim, for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a great afternoon.
All right, you too.
Okay.
Thank y'all. What you were trying to tell me, baby?